Alright, hello, what's up again, people? So the long wait is here. POB is not updated yet. I am not going to wait until it is fully updated. I don't think I have enough time, so I'm just gonna showcase this right away. Right? There are a few things I want to address first. Okay, so number one, like I mentioned, POB is not updated. So whatever numbers that you've seen, right? Whatever numbers that is shown on the POB might not be exactly accurate. Okay, if there are any changes required, I will do an update video on the POB and repost it on my Google Sheet. Okay, the video is basically to specify what are the changes I have made, so on and so forth, things you need to take note and what to leave behind and bring forward. Okay, the second thing is this is gonna be a really long video. Okay, because I'm going to explain every single thing you need to know, all the core and important stuff from transiting from the low budget to the mid budget to the high budget, league starting and stuff like that. So buckle up your seatbelts and get ready for a really long video. The third one will be I will be playing this build as well. Okay, I will be streaming on the first few days of the league, so do pop by on my YouTube live stream and say hi. If you have any other questions, you can just head over to my Discord group chat and let me know. The fourth one is I know and I understand many of you guys might be worried on the mana sustainability of this build, right? Now that Replica's Conqueror efficiency has been disappeared, gone, whatever you want to call it. But I have kind of like found out some fixes for that, so I'll go through it along the way. Alright, and yes, last but not least, before I begin, please do note that whatever that you see in this video, right, is or might subject to changes. So for the latest update, do check on my updated dates of the POB and also on my Discord chat, as I might not have all the time to update every single platform for this build. So what I mean was like maybe this, if you already known about my POE build Google Sheet, I will update the dates over here. Alright, so once I update the dates over here, you will know which one is the latest one, and you can just click on the POB, extract it to your own and have a look at them. Okay, and then additional thing to add on, the links for all of the builds is not up yet. These are not updated. I will update them as soon as I can. Of course, I do not have every single time to update every single build. Okay, please, hopefully you guys are understanding. So I will update them along the way. As of now, I will update it on the standard league, alright, because only the standard league is available in the drop down list. Okay, so standard league, please be mindful of that. I will definitely update all of them before league start. By then, if I am transiting into the low budget build, I will have to use the list myself, so I will also update them. Alright, but I will slowly update them. I will not update every single one shot. Okay, alright, and we will start off with the low budget Cyclone CoC. Okay, this is the new improved version. Before I actually really begin, right, some of you might actually be thinking, where is the league starter or whatever. I will do the league starter in another video, and I would say as of now, right, I have tested a little bit and on the previous league and also in League of Kalandra that I think Arc has kind of like became the better choice to transit into this build. Okay, so low budget CoC, this is at the peak of level 90. This is like the maximum damage we can get. Okay, maximum damage. This is not very exact value, and we are going to have about 4,500 HP sitting at level 90. So I know previously it was like less than 4,000, even 3,008, and it feels very squishy even with determination and stuff. So I have changed it, I've improved it. There are some changes to the build. The only problem that I have with this build, which I feel it is very insignificant, is the accuracy. Okay, so at level 90, right, you're gonna have 99% hit chance only. So which means every 100 hit you're gonna miss probably once, which I don't think is a very problematic issue in your early game. Okay, so that is why this is like low budget. If you really want to do it at 100%, all you need to do is just take this 10% increase aura from your skills and you can reach 100% accuracy. Alright, for now it is very hard for me to squeeze in one space. I mean, if you really want, then you can just remove one of these life nodes and take it. Okay, it is totally fine. And like I say, this is from a level 90 perspective. Yeah. Okay, so right, let's get to it. So first of all, like as usual, I have various skill trees. I'm not gonna explain every single thing. Yes, there are changes in this build. No longer using replicas Conqueror efficiency. No longer using Conqueror efficiency because they have removed both of them. And of course, your curse is now four passive nodes towards Whispers of Doom, right? So I just went the other way around to accommodate for it. Okay, so more or less actually everything else still stays similar, stays the same. The only real change, right, is actually the mana cost. So how to deal with it? We actually are going to take this mana mastery of 10% reduce mana cost of skills. Alright, this is not exactly the best, but I think it is sufficient enough. So with these nodes, right, our Cyclone is still going to cost 2 mana, and Ice Spear is going to cost 13 mana. Alright, and then we have both triggers. First one will be Crippling Force at 15 mana, and then we have Ice Nova and Frost Bomb just at 2 mana. So yes, all in all, I would say it's gonna cost about maybe max 40 mana each hit, right? And at level 80 or level 90, you're gonna have 100 plus mana, and the leash is gonna be quite strong from 210 mana. So with the mana regen, I would say it should be sufficient enough. Alright, I really cannot determine how good this is. I don't really have the time to actually test it in the current standard league. So I will see how it goes. Alright, like I mentioned, I'll update it if there's any issues. Okay, do make sure to look at all the trees. If you go beyond level 90 to 95, I have a tree also, but I don't think you will go beyond level 95. Alright, when you are beyond level 95, you should have reached at about mid-budget build already, and the transition to mid-budget build is not technically very expensive as well. Okay, so next on to the skills. We are now going to standardize only one variation of the Cyclone CoC, which is our 6th link is going to be Ice Spear. Alright, in the early game, I feel you need a lot of power to knock down those single target monsters. So rare, unique, whatever you call it. Although with the changes to the rare monsters, Arch Nemesis no longer here. That's a very good thing, but I feel it is still required to kill bosses fast. Okay, so yes, we have Ice Spear to kill or to focus on single target units. Our tree line will actually be Crippling Frost with GMP and Bone Chill. Okay, this is the best I can think of. I didn't put Arcane Surge over here because Arcane Surge is going to be with your Frost Blink, and the other cosplay is going to be Ice Nova, Frost Bomb, and Cowling Strike. So some of you might be thinking, why the hell is Ice Nova over there, right? When you play CoC Ice Spear, the variant of Ice Spear, you are only killing things that are in front of you. When you spin towards the direction, basically your Ice Spear is just going to projectile outwards towards the direction in the cone, and the cone is not exactly very big. So what happens when a whole lot or pack of monsters try to crowd around you or surround you? That is where Ice Nova actually comes in to help you clear it much efficiently. Okay, so you don't really have to bother about those white mobs or even maybe the blue mobs. Ice Nova damage probably can deal with it. If you are not able to deal with it, then Ice Spear will get the job done. Okay, so this is only one variation of the build now. I don't think I should change it to either Ice Nova on your low budget build, because it makes no sense that you are focusing on mapping in your early game. Okay, so aura is still gonna be the same: precision, defiance, banner, hatred, and determination. We are not running Herald of Ice. Okay, I repeat, we are not running Herald of Ice because we do not have enough mana. So in the early game, I felt that this is not exactly needed. But if you really want, then you have to take out one of them, right? In my own perspective, I feel that defense is more important than damage. You already have nearly, okay, this is 3 million damage at maximum. So without maximum, I would say maybe about at least 1.5 to 2 million. Okay, with your gems not even at maximum level. So let's just say maybe level 17 or level 18. This is without quality. You're still gonna do about that much damage, and I think it's quite good. Okay, so yeah, Herald of Ice not really needed over here. Next will be our Vortex debuff. Okay, Vortex Hex Touch, Frostbite, Elemental Weakness. Previously I was contemplating whether or not to use the double curse again. Now that curse has been buffed, it kind of affects map bosses and what's that, pinnacle bosses at maximum coverage, right? So there is no penalty or whatsoever. But they actually reduce the numbers of both Frostbite and Elemental Weakness, and I think it is still quite safe to say that with 2 of these hexes, you can probably rush down the boss very fast. Okay, we are still going to use Hex Touch. Okay, this is another aspect that people actually ask me. So with that, there's actually a new gem that curse, that you create a curse ground on the floor, right? And there is no side effect to your hexes. Okay, whereas the new Hex Touch, there is a 35% reduced curse effect. I think if I remember correctly, is 35%, and that is actually a lot. Okay, that is actually really a lot. But the problem is the Hex Touch is not a one-time thing. Alright, you can just drop your Vortex everywhere, anywhere you go. As long as the monsters are within your Vortex, they will be double curse, they will be double hex, or whatever you want to call it. Okay, but the new curse ground support, it will only put 1 ground, and it can only have a maximum of 1 curse ground. Okay, so which means if your Vortex were to actually trigger this curse ground, I don't know how big is the AoE, but I don't think it is extremely big. Maybe maximum give you 1/4 of your screen, if you really want that. Okay, 1/4 of your screen. It's not very big, and you can only have 1, and the curse ground lasts for 34 seconds. So which means every 34 seconds, you can only trigger your Vortex that will curse on enemy. And I feel it is not an extremely viable option. We kind of have like no choice but to go back to Hex Touch. Yes, there is another option of doing the mark on hit with Assassin's Mark. But I feel when you are fighting like unique monsters or bosses, right, reducing elemental resistance is still the best. Okay, it's still the best. So that is why we are going to retain this falling, right? The rest is the usual: cast when damage taken level 1, Molten Shell level 10. Because we are using determination, we're gonna have lots of armor and coverage of our life points. And then movement skill is Frostblink and Arcane Surge. Okay, no changes. So like I said, this is going to be only one variant. You're going to use it all the way until mid budget. For our items, Cosplay Malaise, same. You're going to try and find as high increased attack speed as possible. Alright, so 14% is the highest, but please do not overspend it. So let's just say if I don't know, 14%, let's just say maybe it's 50 chaos, and 12% is maybe 20 chaos or 30 chaos. Please just get the 12% one. That 2% increased attack speed is not going to significantly do extremely amount of DPS improvement. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to say to Cosplay. And our helmet, we are no longer going to use Devoto's Devotion. Okay, I have tried many times to actually find a replacement for it, Yes, Devotion is good because 1, it gives you movement speed, 2, it gives you tons of dex, which is what this build is lacking, 3, it gives you chaos resistance, which is really good, right? But I feel with Devotion, right, the amount of life and defensive layers that you can get becomes very rough, right? You have very little coverage on the defenses, so I decided to just go ahead with a rare helmet. And not to mention, Devotion is so goddamn expensive on day 1. While you're trying to farm for it, I think you might actually struggle, and it drops down very significantly on day 2 and day 3. Okay, body armor, just go with a tabula rasa, right? I'm not even going to add in the corrupted 6-link now. It seems like it is kind of like the trend now already that on League Start, if you want a 6-link corrupted armor, probably with life, it's going to cost 2 times the amount of tabula rasa. So in my own opinion, because chaos is very crucial at the start, I am not going to bother with it, right? Just a tabula rasa is good enough. 4.5 KHP is probably more than enough to bring you all the way even until the end of yellow maps or even early red maps. Okay, gloves, boots, amulet, all gloves and boots is basically just finding a lot of life resistance. Boots is just you need to bench craft movement speed with your onslaught. Okay, and then amulet is your citrine amulet is the best fit for it, and make sure you allocate agility. Okay, what is agility? Agility is just this plus 30 dex over here. This is very cheap. Don't tell me you do not have currency for it. Clear Sephia. I don't know, maybe it costs 1 to 2C for this 30 dex. Please just get it. It's crucial and required for your build. Okay, and then you have your rings. Your rings, preferably just get a base resist rings. Alright, I'm not asking you to reroll for the highest amount, but just get something and make sure you fulfill the requirements of like dex and resistance with life on it. Of course, you need to benchcraft your non-challenging skills at -7 total mana cost, both on your rings and on your amulet as well. Okay, belt is just go for a heavy belt with strength. That's going to ease your mind with the attributes. And as you can see, right, all of them except this sapphire ring, right, I have no choice. All of the items are only 2 line of mods, alright, most of them, and then you just benchcraft the last remaining one. The rest is really very simple, so I am going to assume that you are going to able to get all these items very easily. They are not even tier 1 items, okay, they are tier 3 items. Okay, so for flasks, as usual, Quicksilver flask, diamond. Okay, so Quicksilver with the reduced effect of curse, you are going to take Soul of Yugu, so you're going to have more reduced effect of curses. When you are mapping, it's going to be much easier. Diamond flask with increased crit strike chance, granite flask with your armor, sulfur with your increased attack speed, and then eternal life flask. Okay, last but not least, your jewels. Okay, your jewels, just honestly just find anything. The best one, right, the best one is if you can find any jewel that has immunity to corrupted blood. Okay, that will be really good. But since you already have this flask, I wouldn't say it's not the best and it's not the worst as well, but it's good to have. Okay, for some of you that might ask me why actually are you using sulfur flask, I can tell you Dying Sun is probably better, but you can see the DPS increase is not exactly a lot, right? It's only a little bit, and we all know Dying Sun on day 1 is like ridiculous amount. I don't know how much is it, maybe 40C or 50C, right? It's almost close to 1 divine, so it's gonna be very expensive, and I don't really recommend. Okay, just go for sulfur flask and just use your alterations until you roll attack speed. It's good enough. Okay, because our attack speed, our maximum APS that we can get for this build is 12.12, right? We are not even near there. We are dual welding, right? So 6.06 times 2 is 12.12. We are not even near there, and this is the DPS you can get. So as much as you can, just find all sort of ways that you can increase your attack speed, right? That will be the best. Okay, so this is basically your low budget build. It's really very short, very simple. please take note that if you actually encounter the following mods, you have to reroll them on your map. Okay, cannot leash monsters. You want to leash because otherwise you're not going to sustain your mana. Okay, I will always remove maximum player resistance because let's just say if you find a rare monster or you encounter a rare monster that hits you really hard, this mod can actually allow them to one-shot you. Okay, monsters are hex proof. We do not have awakened hex touch, so please just remove it as well. Players have X% reduced effect of non-curse auras from skills. This is mandatory. Definitely remove it away. Okay, and the last one is not mandatory, but I think it's good to remove it. So monsters have X% chance to suppress spell damage. I think you should just remove it. Otherwise, most of the time you're just going to deal half damage to them. Okay, so yes, that's it for the low budget version. I am going to go over to the mid budget build guide right now. Alright, okay, so this is the mid budget Cyclone CoC. There are two variants of this, but the nice and lovely part about it is you do not need to change any item other than your skill gem. So which means if you are playing Ice Spear and you're doing some bosses and you would like to go to map, all you need to do is swap around the jewels. Alright, and it is not a lot of jewels. Technically it's only 3 jewels that you need to swap, and the fact is they are not even very expensive jewels. Okay, so I'll go through that later. On a very high level scale, this is going to be the ES version already. We are going to go with the Prism Guardian low life and our chevrons wrapping. Okay, so energy shield we have about 5.6k. 5.6k, yes, I'm at level 90. I think this is pretty much more or less more than enough. Okay, armor is 27k. That is very high. Okay, 27k. And then we are going to have a DPS of about 8 million. This is for the Ice Spear. Okay, this is for the Ice Spear. The Ice Nova is going to be at around half the damage, so about 4 million DPS. So having 4 million DPS at a mid-budget build, I think is more than sufficient enough to kill almost everything. Your map boss is probably not going to be as fast as the Ice Spear, but of course there's a give and take, right? It's a mapper versus a bosser, so yeah, self-explanatory. Okay, so skill-wise, there is 2 different skill sets. Okay, please take note. The first one is for Ice Spear. We are going to go with the exact same slot. Okay, so Cyclone CoC Ice Spear Inspiration, increase critical strikes and GMP, but this round with quality. Alright, and our trigger is gonna be Creeping Frost, GMP and Arcane Surge. I will keep Arcane Surge at level 7. Why? Is because you get Arcane Surge after spending 32 mana, and our Creeping Frost is about 15 mana. So roughly around 2 to 3 procs you actually get Arcane Surge, but you can increase. Okay, you can increase, but I suggest to not go higher than level 10. Yeah, maybe not higher than level 10. It's not really recommended. Otherwise, there might be some slight downtime within Arcane Surge. Okay, and then next, because we're going to go low life, so 350%, we have Determination, Purity Elements, and our Hatred. Okay, so go with this. For the Purity Elements, you don't really need to go for the anomalous one right now first, but if you can get it early on, that will be great. Okay, Falling Aura, this is your second aura, which is going to be Defiance, Banner, Summon Skateboards, Link with Bone Chill. This is where our Bone Chill is going to be, and then Vow Discipline. Okay, very simple, very straightforward. Our Vortex debuff is still the same, everything is still the same, just that Hex Touch and Elemental Weakness, you're going to get quality on it. Wait a second, I think this one... Okay, my bad. This one you don't even need to have quality anymore. I remember they have actually changed it. The quality no longer has 10% increase effect of supporter curse, so it doesn't matter. Okay, I'll change this on later. Our usual cast when damage taken, Molten Shell, and then we have our third set of aura, which is Precision and Herald of Ice. Okay, so if you can get Precision at level 21, that will be really great. Otherwise, you will have about 99% hit chance. Right, so the 21 is going to give you 100% chance, up to your preference. I don't think it is very expensive just for a 21-0 precision. Okay, last but not least, Frost Blink, just get it at whichever level you want. This is our movement skill. Okay, for our Ice Nova, okay, when you can just change Ice Nova, you can see the colors is exactly the same. So when you want to do the mapping, your 16, you just gonna need to swap Ice Spear and GMP for Ice Nova and added cold damage. That's all. That's all. Very simple. And then our Cosplay trigger, you're just gonna swap Crippling Frost with Frostbolt. That is all you need to change to go in to change between mapping and bossing, right? Vice versa. It's very, very simple and straightforward. Okay. And guys, it's a level 2020 jewel. I'm pretty sure you can afford it at that time. I'm not even asking for like alternate qualities or 2120 kind of jewels. Alright, 2020, you can even buy a corrupted one. It should be relatively cheap. Okay, this is gonna improve your experience in the mid-budget tier. So yeah, nonetheless, it is all around the same. Okay, item wise, now we're gonna go with one Cosplay, but the problem is your Cosplay is gonna be at 12% attack speed. Okay, this is a little bit of a difference. So if you're low budget, you're gonna have like 214%. That might be a problem. Please take note. You can choose to get one 12% and one 14% in your low budget, so that when you transit into the mid budget, you don't really have to buy another Cosplay. Okay, Prism Guardian. Default one, just get anything. Alright, Dexterity 30 is the best you can get. I would suggest to get one at around 28 dex also. I think 28 dex is fine. Let me just change this a quick one. Wait, why can't I change? Okay, oh, we will not have enough dex. Okay, I think I will just add it on later. So yes, Prism Guardian, and then helmet, right? We are gonna change from a rare helmet to this unique one called the Crown of the Inward Eye. Alright. This is something dropped by Cyrus, so I am not sure when you reach the mid-budget will it still be extremely expensive, but usually it should be around 5 to 10C, right? Maximum 5 to 10C, okay? And our body armor is going to be the annoying or the most problematic one, because you need to get a 6 on your chevrons wrapping, and on your chevrons wrapping you need to have these specific colors, which is 3 green, 2 blue, 1 red. Okay, I know it is very hard. Okay, it is very hard. There are a lot of ways where you can change it. You can swap. You can go for a 3 green benchcraft and then have another 3 blue, and just swap one of them for red and hope you hit it. Okay. Otherwise, what I suggest to do is just go for 3 green and 1 red, or no, 2 green and 1 red, or 3 green, and then just Vorisi it and hope for the best for many white sockets. Okay, that is what I can suggest. Gloves, we are not going to go anything special. Alright, just go for a rare energy shield gloves with ES, and then find one with accuracy rating, because we do not have enough accuracy at the start. We still haven't equipped Unnatural Instinct. Lesson learned from last league, Unnatural Instinct was so goddamn expensive that mid-budget build is not affordable at all. Okay, and then just benchcraft attack speed, you know, to balance out their 7.57 APS. Our boost is just ES. The chaos resistance is a bonus, so it is okay if you do not get it. Alright, and then we have benchcraft for movement speed and onslaught. Amulet, we are going to go for presence of Chayula. However, we are not going to annoy Essence Sep this round. Okay, we are going to allocate Whispers of the Doom. Right, so why change to Whispers of Doom? Because now it requires 4 points, right? And I felt that Whispers of Doom can do a lot of magic. It basically saves out a lot of points. And then where are we going to get our leech now? Because we actually take the precision here, the accuracy here, which is Death Perception, we have access to this, which is Clever Thief, and our damage will leech as mana. That is why we have the 257 leech mana, and I assume that this is going to be more than enough. Okay, with our mana regen, we are really close to 300 mana per second. Okay, that is really a lot. So that is why I have changed this. So we are no longer going to use Essence Sep, and this is going to apply for our high budget build as well. Rings is just very simple. Just get both attribute rings. One of them has to be sapphire because you're gonna be lacking the cold resistance. Only the cold resistance, so that is why just find a sapphire ring and you can cover up for it. Okay. Unset ring. The second ring has to be an unset ring because you need to socket your last gem. Either your Aura's Precision Herald Eyes or Frostblink, either one of them. Okay, so it doesn't matter, but it has to be an unset ring. And make sure you craft non-channeling skills have -7 to total mana cost. Okay, last but not least, our cooldown recovery belt. Now this one is very hard to determine because for the past few leagues I have been watching very carefully. Sometimes the price can be really high and sometimes the price can be really low. Okay, so hopefully you can get one that has increased recovery rate with open suffix. If you have to give up the maximum energy shield, I will suggest to give up because at this point of time 5.6k is already more than enough. So it is okay to give up the energy shield. Your focus here is the increased cooldown recovery rate. Make sure it has at least 14%. Okay, make sure it has at least 14%. Quicksilver Flask, same. This is for our spell damage. I am not asking you for like the double mod, so no prefix. Everything is just suffix here. Suffix is more important, right? And then for Ice Spear, we're going to use Dying Sun, of course. For Ice Nova, we are going to use Sulfur Flask, alright, because Dying Sun is not going to benefit us. So mapping wise, I'm just going to add in movement speed for faster clear. Our jewels, so we are still going to use back Militant Fate, okay, please take note. And the three, we are going to be very, very exact this round. So Militant Fate, you need to have 3 stuff now. First is definitely Dominus because we want to have inner conviction, right? Second is going to have 2% increase to all elemental resistance per 10 devotion. Okay, so this is going to help us cap our resistance very easily. And the last one we need to have is 1% reduced cost of skills per 10 devotion. Okay, per 10 devotion, this is really very important, okay, because as you can see at level 90, right, we have a total of 100 devotion. So that is 10% reduced mana cost. That is equal to this mana mastery right here. That is why you can see Cyclone only costs 2 mana, Ice Spear only costs 9, and then our trigger is going to cost 15. So that is why I say mana sustainability is going to be better at the mid budget as compared to the low budget because of Militant Fate. Second disclaimer I'm going to make is I have no idea how much is this going to cost because with the removal of Replica's Conqueror efficiency, I think this mod of Militant Fate might be expensive. Okay, it might be expensive because everybody is going to find ways to reduce their mana cost so that their builds can work very efficiently, right? So I really don't know, but I hope this is not the case. The next one will be Energy from Within. This is going to be over here, and yeah, this is going to give us tons of ES, a lot of ES. I would say at least 500 to 600. Okay. Thread of Hope here. We're gonna include Thread of Hope this round and take Heart of Ice and Arcane Focus. But the real reason we are gonna take Thread of Hope, right, is because we need either 2 of the corrupted mods, which is 2% increased reservation efficiency of skills, or you can have immunity to corrupted blood. So for me, in my jewel here, I have the base jewel, I have the corrupted blood cannot be inflicted on you, but you can change the position whichever you like. So if your Thread of Hope has immunity to corrupted blood, so be it. Okay, so be it. You can choose either one of them, and then make sure your base jewel has the 2% increased reservation efficiency of skills. This is very important because if you don't have this, you cannot reserve 350% auras on your life. Okay, so I'm just going to give you a quick example. Let's just say if I remove this, see, it's 0% and it's not enough. Okay, so it's really very important. Please take note, right? And yeah, the last one is just whichever jewel that you need. It doesn't have to be this critical strike multiplier with cold skills. Basically, this jewel is just to help you fulfill the other corrupted mod that you need. Okay, the rest is very much self-explanatory. The really main difference about this skill tree, right, is over here, because we're not going to go live anymore. So you are not going to go up, instead you're going to go down, and with this reduce to mana cost as well, it's going to help out with the build. Okay, yeah, so that's roughly about it. It's really very straightforward. This build is gonna help you. This mid-budget version is basically gonna help you clear maps easily, and when you need to do invitations, it is gonna help you a lot as well, because you can just swap to Ice Spear anytime and your boss fights will be very easy. Okay, as you can see the damage, right? Damage over here, Ice Spear is about 8 million. Alright, if you manage to go to level 95, it's gonna be nearly 9 million. This is more than enough. Okay, although these numbers is not exactly accurate because POB is not updated yet, but the numbers is roughly around there. Okay, 9 million is more than enough to help you clear almost all your invitations on white. Okay, please do not rare your stuff and then attempt it and then come and question me like why I cannot do, why is it so difficult. Like, bro, obviously because you went to juice up your invitations, which is not meant to. This is a mid-budget build. Don't expect too much. Okay, as of the fear, right, like some of you might be asking me, is this build possible to kill the fear? Okay, my answer to you is yes, it is possible to clear when you actually reach level 95 and above. Okay, why? Is because the damage is actually sufficient enough. It's just that you need to know the boss mechanics on what to dodge, what to avoid, when to engage with the boss, and when to build out. This is very important, because if you do not know when to build out, right, then you cannot sustain the fight. If you cannot sustain the fight and you keep dying, more bosses will start spawning, and this is going to pose as a problem. So damage, yes, definitely damage plays a very important role in the fear, but understanding the boss mechanics is also equally important, right? That is what I have for you, and this is for the mid-budget build. I will update it on the Google spreadsheet later on. Okay, and the next one we're gonna have is the high budget version. Okay, from here onwards, the transition to mid-budget to high budget, you have to decide which you want to play, either Ice Spear or Ice Nova. So on a high level breakdown, Ice Spear means you want to do more bosses, Ice Nova means you want to do more mapping. Okay, because it really differs a lot. Okay, not really a lot, but the items that you get, right, is going to differ depending on which build you want to play. So for now, I am going to introduce the Ice Nova first. Okay, so this is how your Ice Nova is roughly gonna be like. I will say on a very simple address of this level 95 skill tree, right, the main difference is your Unnatural Instinct here and your Cluster Jewel here. Okay, this two is probably the biggest difference over here, and I would like to say the nice part about this new high budget version is that now we are only going to use one large Cluster Jewel. We are no longer going to use the second one because I felt it was really not worth it. And not only to mention that we all know how godly expensive the large Cluster Jewel is, with Prismatic Heart, Blanketed Snow, and Widespread Destruction. Okay, it is very, very expensive. For those of you that have played CoC before, you know that one large Cluster Jewel is easily like 18 Divine Orbs to 20 Divine Orbs already. I'm talking about the ones with Blanketed Snow. With Blast Freeze, it can cost you maybe around 8 Divine Orbs. Yeah, it's like half the price. So there is really a lot of difference. Okay, so yes, this is how the skill tree will look like. I only have up to the lowest is level 80 because the requirements to play this high budget build is level 80, right? And then the build that can, this level 95 tree, right, will perform at its peak at level 95. Okay, anything lower than that, you will not see it perform extremely well. So after level 95 and above is the best to play, right? I assume when you're transiting from the mid to high budget, you should be already at level 95, alright, or even somewhere close to it, maximum maybe at least 94 or something. Okay, alright, so high level coverage, this is the high budget with an energy shield of 5.7k, at level 95. Okay, 5.7k is way more than my previous versions. I think my previous ones only had like slightly below 5k, and I felt it was insufficient. Armor is 21k, and then we're gonna have cap resistance as well, and our DPS is 13 million. Okay, 13 million. That is like 3 times the damage leap from the mid-budget version all the way, but of course the cost is much more steep. That is why you have a lot more damage. Skill wise, we only have 2 variants. I will only show one first. So this is your usual Ice Nova. Of course, make sure you have Awaken cast on crit and Awaken added cold damage, just that level 5 will do with quality. Please remember that inspiration with divergent quality is very important. Okay, with the replicas conquer efficiency no longer available, you probably can see this skill gem rise in price again, right? No doubt, is very important. Next is our cosplay trigger. Everything is the same, alright, just that you are going to purchase one with different quality now. Frostbolt with Phantasma, because the projectiles can return to you, is really very good. And then GMP with Anomalous. Okay, you don't see Anomalous GMP like ever being used. Usually, if you put it on the market, if somebody actually wants to buy it for you, then I think you are really lucky, right? But for now, I think it really has a good use, alright, because Replica's conquer efficiency is gone. This thing actually serves a very big purpose. Look at the mana cost. If I'm going to go for a default one, it's 26, but if I'm going to go for Anomalous, it's 17. That is a huge difference. Okay, really huge difference over here. So please get the Anomalous version. Auras, everything is still the same. Purity or Elements, Anomalous for more resistance, alright. And then the rest of your core auras, just keep it at 21. Don't need quality. Same, Summon Skater Bots, Bone Chill, Defiance Banner 21, 21, 21. Just Defiance Banner at 20 and the default quality. Alright, Vortex is still the same. We're gonna change Hex Touch to Awaken Hex Touch. The 35% reduced curse effect is not in place yet, so your damage will be lower. But then when you fight boss, it's gonna be a buff. Okay. The nice part about Awaken Hex Touch is that you can have a chance to bypass hexproof enemies. 18% chance is very high, honestly, okay? Because Vortex is going to proc so many times, the chances of you like applying the curse to a hexproof enemy is always almost there. CWDT is still the same, Molten Shell, and then we have our Precision, Herald of Ice, and then movement skill is still the same. So really nothing much change over here. For our item set, everything else is also still going to be the same from the previous one. Like the helmet is still going to be +1 to power charge. With nearby enemies have -9 to cold resistance. If you are feeling rich, you can get the elevated ones with -12%. That is fine. And then you have your incursion gloves. Okay, this incursion gloves is very important as well. You gotta probably do it yourself with the Searing Exarch and the Eater of World. So what is going on here is you just need to find one with energy shield and one with any of the incursion temple mods with the other elements. The other elements is fine as well, just that you need to have an open suffix to benchcraft your attack speed. Okay, so what do I mean by any of the element? Sorry, which means you do not need to find one with increased damage with hits against shield enemies. Okay, so this comes in a pair with the cold resistance. You can find one with the fire resistance or with the lightning resistance. Okay, this is something that I think not many people know, but the purpose of finding either fire resistance or lightning resistance is because you can change the resistance to cold, and actually this line, right? This line of where is my glove? Okay, the glove here. So this line increase damage with hits against 3 enemies. If it's fire, I think is increase burn damage or something like that, and then if it's lightning is shock. I cannot remember, but of course I don't use that, so I don't know. And when you change the resistance from fire to cold or lightning to cold, this line changes with it as well. Okay, I think not many of you guys know that, so I'm gonna give a very quick show to you guys. Let me just open up Craft of Exile with the gloves in and Incursion Temple mods. How do I close all groups? Okay, so here, okay, you see, so cold resistance, there's an increased damage with hits against 3 enemy. Fire resistance, added fire damage against burning enemies. Lightning will be increased critical strike chance against shock enemies. So it is okay to find a glove with any of these two mods, alright? And then just change fire to cold resistance or lightning to cold resistance. You will get this exact same line, okay? Even with the increased damage. So this is also another method to how you can roll the numbers with this 30 to 50%. You do not need to use a divine orb. If you get a very low number, let's say 32%, all you need to do is just change back to fire and change back to cold. Change back to lightning, change back to cold. This is how you keep rerolling the numbers for this increased damage, okay? Yes, I think not many people know this. Thanks to, I can't remember who was it, but there was one guy that actually talked about it in the Discord chat as well, and he mentioned it. Okay, so kudos to that guy. I'm sorry I forget your name, but yeah, that is what it is. Okay, boots. We are still gonna go with the same one. Your CDR boots with Tailwind, and then Benchcraft movement speed with Onslaught. This is your Shaper Hunter boots. Okay. Amulet. Same, you can use back your mid-budget build, which is your Person or Chayula. Just that throw in the Catalyst of Defense modifier so that you have more ES. Okay, for the ring, you are going to go for one with Ruby ring this round. Okay, so no longer Sapphire ring. The reason is because when you change to your Incursion gloves, you have a lot of cold resistance and it makes up for that. Okay, and then you will be lacking fire resistance. So that is why Ruby ring. And the Ruby ring, just go for 2 with attributes. This is basically to cover up your lacking of attributes. Of course, Benchcraft your non-challenging skills, and then the other ring, just 1 attribute, and you need to find one with attack speed so that we can hit our APS of 10.07 as close as possible. Okay, this one for Ice Nova, right? The thing with Ice Nova is it has to be 7%. Okay, please take note, it has to be 7% on this ring, and then the gloves have to Benchcraft 12%. Otherwise, we do not have enough attack speed. Okay, belt. Our crystal belt, it gives us the most ES with strength, ES, and of course another cooldown recovery rate. This is from your Shaper belt. Alright, I think this might not be easy to find, so if you need to give up maybe your ES mod or whatever, you can just give it up. The Benchcraft is not mandatory, you can ignore it as well. Flask. So for Flask in the high budget build, it is more significant. The Quicksilver Flask, I will recommend to use the prefix of maximum charges. Why is this so? It's because with 30 max charges, right, you can use the Quicksilver Flask 3 times. Okay, 3 times, maximum 3 times. This is when you actually need to go in and out of the portal, and you need to use the Quicksilver Flask multiple times to travel across your map. Right, next one will be our Specialist Diamond Flask. So 30% chance to gain a flash charge when you do a critical strike, and then 52% increased critical strike chance. Okay, this critical strike chance is not, technically you don't really need to have it at 52%. Our Granite Flask is also the same. You gain a flash charge when you do a critical strike and then increased armor. So there is something that I want to explain over here, which is your flask, the mod here, the prefix, chance to gain a flash charge when you do a critical strike. Now, I think there is some confusion previously. When you have this mod, right, and then you have multiple of this mod, what happens is only one of them will trigger. Which means when you crit, it doesn't mean that both of the flasks will gain 1 charge, okay? I think this has confused a lot of players. When you crit, only one of the flasks will gain a charge, okay? There is a cooldown in between this mod. I think the cooldown, I cannot remember exactly how much is it, but I know there is a cooldown. So you cannot you cannot continuously like gain 2 charges for both the flasks at the same time. Okay. But I feel the reason why I put here is because to have 2 of these mods is still reasonably fine, but to have all 4 mods with this, you will never see your flask consistently go at full uptime. Alright, it is never going to happen, because over maybe let's say over 0.3 seconds, you probably will see like 1 or 2 flasks being charged one time only. So that is the reason why I only put diamond and granite flasks, because they are kind of like the most important flasks that we need. Right, one is to have crit, yes, of course, so that we can continue to crit and continue to have flash charges. Second is we need the armor to boost our defenses, alright, to keep on going. Of course, Quicksilver with our spell leech is important too, but ES can regenerate very fast, so I don't think that's the issue over here. Amethyst flask is also not very extremely important, but use it when you need to. Okay, Bottle Fate, I don't need to explain, right? This is just increased damage with crit and consecrated ground with increased damage taken to enemies. Okay. Next will be our jewels. So militant, I'm gonna go through the unique ones first. So militant flame is still the same. Energy from within is still the same. Unnatural instinct is also at the same position over here. Now, there is no way when you go to the high budget, right, you can give up on this thing. Okay, I know it is going to be very, very expensive. So the moment when you are at mid budget, right, what I suggest is, as long as you have the currency, buy this first. Okay, buy this first, because it is still going to go up in price no matter what. This, with the number of jewels being reduced to, I don't know how many is there now, 8? Like the core drop pool, there's only 8, right? Unnatural instinct is going to probably cost way more expensive, because there is really not any more like good jewels that will actually be as strong as unnatural instinct. Okay, I don't even think inspired learning can compare to this. This is just too good. You can just place anywhere on your skill tree and it will just buff every single thing in that radius. So why this is very important? Because it gives us attack speed, it gives us movement speed, it gives us dex, it gives us accuracy. Alright, there is really a lot of juice in this unnatural instinct, and you probably can't find it anywhere else. Like, where else can you find accuracy? Yeah, you can probably just go all the way down here, but how many skill points does it take? It takes a lot, right? And then attack speed, where are you going to find attack speed? It's also like somewhere bottom or even here, right? Or even probably retribution over here, and these accuracy notes. So you go a long way to take all this, and that is why unnatural instinct is so strong, because it just for a few notes, right? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, you get to fulfill every single thing over here, right? You cannot give up this for high budget build. I'm sorry. Many people have asked me that, but it's just way too important, alright? Unless you can find coverage somewhere else, then please, by all means, you can don't use it. Alright. Next is Thread of Hope. It is still the same. And then Watcher's Eye. The important thing about this is that 1.7% to critical strike chance while affected by hatred. Okay, this is important. If you have to roll it with a divine orb, please roll it, but I will suggest you can just buy one straight away that has at least 1.7% to critical strike chance. I'm not even requesting you to get like maximum 1.7, okay? If it's 1.6, okay, I never tried it before. Let me just do a quick one. Where's my Watcher's Eye? Let me try and do it to 1.6 and see if we have max crit as well. Oops. POB is a bit laggy. Come on. Okay, 1.6. There you go. We will not have enough. That is why I keep it at 1.7, alright? If it's 1.6, you're going to have a 98% chance to crit only. Okay, so please remember, get it at 1.7. Alright, 1.7. And the additional mod is probably going to be very expensive. So I have a whole list of mod on the trade link, so you can just see which one you like and just pick one. Okay. For this POB, I'm just going to use the physical damage reduction while affected by determination. It is not mandatory. Okay, it is not mandatory. I repeat. Okay, and then on to our cluster jewels. Cluster jewel is still the same. Blanketed Snow, Prismatic Heart, Widespread Destruction. Make sure it's at 8 passive. Blanketed Snow is not mandatory, but it is the best to have. the other options, right? The other options you can get is okay, let me open up. One of them is Blast Freeze. Alright. The other one is Inspire Oppression. This is also okay. Okay, this is also okay. So basically, as long as there's any of the any of the mods or the nodes that gives you elemental damage, you are fine. Next will be our medium cluster duo. I'm just going to make it very simple for our Ice Nova. We're just going to use a medium cluster duo with area damage, 4 passive points, and what you need is just vast power and 35% increased effect of small passive skills. Alright, you don't need a second passive skill. I think 35% is the best because it can cover up anything left for the small passive. So what that means is if you have 35% increased effect and then you have added small passive skill grants, like over here 4% chaos resistance, right? This 4% chaos resistance is going to become 5%, right? And then 3% is going to become 4, I think. And this applies for all your other mods also. So Dex, Strength, Attribute, Fire Resistance if you need, or anything else. So this is kind of better. And not only that, the 35% increase effect also boosts your 10% increased area damage. Okay, there really isn't much choice for your nodes. So Vast Power is probably the only one that we want over here. For our Jewel, just find one that has Corrupted Blood, or like I mentioned in the mid-budget build, if you have Corrupted Blood over on your Trap of Hope, then just find one that has Reservation Efficiency. Okay. However, there is one option that I think I can suggest, which is if you are having problems finding the corrupted mods on your Trap of Hope, what I suggest is, because we have two jewels here, right, you can find one that has Corrupted Blood and then find one that has increased Reservation Efficiency. Okay, the only thing you need to take note is this jewel, one of the jewels here has to have 5% increased attack speed and 6% increased attack speed, which makes it a total of 11% attack speed. I don't care like if it's on one jewel or if it's on both jewels combined, you need to have 11% attack speed. Okay, I will explain it in the notes later on. So yes, please just take note of that. Okay, other than that, everything else is the same. Okay, so the next part of the build is I am going to show you with the Headhunter. Okay, if you are farming for a Headhunter, you want to transit, what you need to purchase is of course the Headhunter, and then you will need to use a elevated CDR Tailwind boots. Okay, so what it means is you have to get a boost with 18% increased cooldown recovery rate. Now this is very expensive. From my past experience, I think if I remember correctly, the cheapest this can go is like maybe 15 divine, and the most expensive is about 25 divine to 30 divine for this. Right, it is very, very expensive. Okay, and then of course you can just plug in your Headhunter. You don't even need to change any of the things. The attributes will still stay intact. This is the whole purpose of the build. I don't want to make it as troublesome. Okay, skills wise, please change with Headhunter. Right, what is the difference over here? Your Awaken Cast on Crit needs to be level 6. Why level 6? Because at level 6 you're gonna have 3% more increased cooldown recovery rate, so this makes for 34%. And then with your boots, right, 18%, you're gonna hit the threshold of 52%. That is why it is important to change the boots as well, and also this if you want to transit into the Headhunter build. Okay, I can assure you it is very worth it. Okay, it's very worth it to go with the Headhunter with this build. It is so much fun. DPS wise is a lot different. Okay, it's probably gonna be the same, but when you map, right, you can really feel the difference. All right, yes, your APS might be screwed up along the way because of all the various mods, but trust me, it is still way better than your default version. Right, you're gonna go big, you're gonna go fast, you're gonna go really very strong. Okay, I really have no words to explain it, but just try it on your own. I can assure you it is going to be very fun. Right, and so this is for the Ice Nova V2 version. Now, my notes over here, I have actually plugged in the commonly asked questions, so I'm going to go through it. This is actually the same for the ice spear as well, so I'm not going to go through it for ice spear also. How much does this build cost? Roughly about 50 divine orbs. Okay, so with the removal of replica conquer efficiency, will there be mana problems? I'll be very honest with you guys, I have no idea. Okay, but I have already tried my best to reduce as much mana requirements as I can. If it is still insufficient, I'll do an update video on it. If you are having problems with your mana, I suggest to temporarily use a mana flask first. Okay, this is what I can suggest. But yeah, I tried to balance between the mana cost and damage and everything else. I think this is the best I can give you for now. Okay, how much APS do we need? You need to be as close as 10.07. Maybe just 0.01 difference is not gonna do a lot. And this comes out with a total of 21% increased attack speed. I do not know or do not care where you get your increased attack speed from. You just need to remember you need to have a total of 71 attack speed. Okay, and of course this is with your cosplay malaise of 14% increased attack speed. Okay, so that is why with the low budget, right, you're gonna have one with 12% and one with 14%, because your mid budget is going to use the 12% and then your high budget is going to use the 14%. So do not sell any of them. Okay. Next up, you can read the rest on your own. Alright. Do we really need to scale exactly based on the cooldown recovery rate? Yes, of course. Right. Your cooldown recovery rate, right, it really depends on how much you can actually trigger your Ice Nova or your Ice Spear. So if you do not have the proper or accurate cooldown, you might actually miss the trigger timing, and that will drop your DPS by a lot. Right? So dual welding is just double the APS. Fifth question, there are a lot of attributes required for this build. Are there any alternatives? What I can tell you is you can find additional attributes from these 4 items. Alright? One is your cluster jewel, the other one is your gloves, and then you have your rings and belt. Okay? You can find this anywhere else. It doesn't matter where you get, as long as you fulfill your attributes from any one of these 4. Okay, and yes, of course, make sure you use the attribute catalyst for equipments. It's going to help a lot. Alright, so what is next after you have completed this build? There are 2 options here. I can tell you, you either go for the Headhunter version, just select from the drop down, or you just, you know, enjoy the build first and farm for another character. You know, maybe save up for another 50 divine and then just play another character that you want to try, or you want to try or you want to accomplish. Okay, whatever, whether is it for challenge achievement or something that you are very interested in, by all means. Okay, so number 7, I get this very often. Alright, I'm still dying quite a lot in maps and bosses. Is there a tankier version? So guys, first of all, I'm not trying to brag or whatever, but I really think like my version, right, is already very, very tanky. Okay, considering this is an assassin class, where do you actually find an assassin class that has more than 80% physical damage reduction, more than 5.5k ES, and you can still deal a decent amount of damage? Like most of the builds that you see on either PoE Ninja, majority of them are using Grace. Alright, and for those of you that has used Grace before, you know and you understand what I'm trying to say. Grace is shit. Grace is really very bad, because like if you, okay, I wouldn't say it's bad, but if you compare Grace to Determination, Determination is definitely the superior one. Okay, Grace is just evasion, where you give you chance to evade the attacks. So let's just say if you have 80% evasion, every 5 attacks you're gonna get hit once, right? That one attack, if it's a rare monster and it hits you hard, you are going to die, definitely. Okay, I have been there before, I've tried it before, I know how it feels, and that's why I am annoyed by it, and that is where I came from, and there you go. This is the Determination build. Okay, make sure you follow my guide and items properly, because if you are using someone else's build, it's very hard for me to advise you. Okay, I might not be familiar with that build. It might be a different variant, it might be a different version, he might use different items, so on and so forth. So you don't expect me to help you if it's someone else build. You should ask that person instead. Like, why are you coming to ask me if it's that person's build, right? Okay, and if you really want a super ultra tanky version of CoC, I suggest you try the Inquisitor version. I don't have the POB for it, but I know it is out there somewhere. It is much more tankier because it has block as well. The downside is you will lose a lot of damage and speed. Okay, not to mention that you have to find your sources of crit as well. Assassin is very comfortable because the base crit is so high that you don't really have to worry about the crit. So you will be critting like 100% of the time. And that is the problem that Occultist and Inquisitor is going to have. They have to find sources of crit. And what I mean by that is your base crit has to even be decent. Okay, there was once where I started off CoC, I actually started off with Occultist. And I followed this guy's POB. Like his POB, the percentage over here, right? It shows 100% crit, okay? It shows 100% crit. But when I play the build, right, it was so shockingly bad that I decided to give up on my second map already. Why? Is because the crit chance is fake. What I mean by fake is he used like maybe consecrated ground or other methods of crit, like maybe even the power charge. When you play Inquisitor or Occultist, right, your power charge is not going to come up straight to the maximum, right? You need to build them up. So your base or starting or initial crit is going to be so low that it does not scale very well. So in that build that I actually took, right, when I went to remove all the ticks, his base crit was only like 30 to 40%, and that's why I was really struggling with the first two maps and I just gave up, right? Okay, so number 8, how fast can this build do the Fear Invitation? I gotta tell you, it's not as fast as Ice Spear, okay, because it's a mapping build, it's not meant to kill the boss. Advisable to do on white, just activate our flash, try to burst down 1 to 2 boss first. It might take around 20 to 30 seconds. Learning their mechanic is very important and essential. It can help you avoid a lot of one-shot mechanics. Okay, when you fight all these bosses, right, you need to be brave, as in press all your flash 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. Go in and stand there and spin. Okay, do not stand there for like 1-2 seconds and then after that when the boss tries to hit you, like, scared, run away. Like, hello. Then of course you're not going to complete the invitations or your boss fight. You're not even dealing proper damage by standing there 1 to 2 seconds, right? You need to really go in, tank it, even though it hits you and you left like 5% ES. Just continue to stand there. If you are dead, then it doesn't matter. You have done your job, you have done your part. Come back from the portal, redo it again. Right? This is how you actually down bosses while struggling. Okay, number 9, what aspects of the build can you improve to increase DPS? If you really want to maximize, I suggest to improve your skill gems level or quality. Okay, we do not have enough jewel sockets for Forbidden Flesh and Flame, so just forget about the idea. Okay, another next most common question: why the Assassin Ascendancy instead of Occultist or Inquisitor? In short, Assassin is actually cheaper than other variants, in my own opinion. Alright. Very simple breakdown. Assassin scales well with crit and speed. Very easy to reach 100% and it moves very fast. Elusive gives you very good dodge chance as well. Occultist scales more with damage and it provides additional curse. Right, you're gonna go for the double curse. Downside is more expensive and it's harder to scale crit, but it really deals a lot more damage. Alright, this is more towards the version for those people that invest in a lot of Divine Orbs. I'm talking about like hundreds of it. Okay. Third will be Inquisitor scales very well with elemental penetration and defenses. It's very tanky. Like I mentioned previously, it's very tanky, but it's hard to scale crit, and it completely ignores elemental resistance. This is the good part of it. So which means I'm not sure if they did use hex, but I think you don't really need any hex. Okay. 11. So why do you take Sword? You go Elemental Mastery that reflects damage even though there is opportunistic, where damage from critical strikes cannot be reflected. Guys, you need to understand that you need to reach 100% crit before you are immune to reflect damage. So at the start of the map, if you actually go into one map that has reflect elemental damage, you go in the map, your base crit chance is probably 60, okay, maybe 70%. So that one hit, right, that you do not crit, is enough to kill you yourself. So that is why you still take the Soul of Yugu and the Elemental Mastery. But of course, if you want to give those up and add other points, by all means, just reroll the reflect damage mod. Okay, I really just implemented this just for ease or quality of life. Right, so the last one is question 12. Can this build do 100% Delirious map? Yes, it can. I have reached 9 stacks of reward with the Headhunter version. Alright, it is really very easy. Without a Headhunter, 8 stacks of reward is also possible. I have also reached there before. I think it was the not League of Kalandra, the league before Kalandra. I have played Delirious, not really Delirious, but Mirror of Delirious map. It is very strong. It can reach 8 to 9 stacks. So this is completely fine. Alright. As for Simulacrum, I would suggest you to do it only with a Headhunter. Then you can reach probably at stage 30. Otherwise, if you see the boss at 29 or 30 or even 28, you might struggle a bit. Okay? So yes, that is all for the CoC Ice Nova. I'm taking too much time. I'm going to head over to the Ice Spear. Alright guys, so this is the Ice Spear. I'm not going to go through every single thing over again, okay? So if you want to know on the specifics of this build, please go to my Ice Nova, the section for where I explain the Ice Nova. It is the same. I will only explain or tell you what is the difference between Ice Nova and Ice Spear over here, okay? So, yes, you can see everything else is the same. The only difference is the jewels and basically your cluster. Okay, I am going to skip all the way there. Everything else is the same. Of course, you're going to use Ice Spear and GMP instead of Ice Nova and Awaken added projectile. You can use Awaken GMP, but be warned, Awaken GMP is very, very, very expensive. Okay, yes, the damage is going to skyrocket, of course. Look, this is an additional 6 million. Sorry, level 5. Yeah, around 6 million. So, if you have the money, then please, by all means, Awaken GMP. Right? Otherwise, just GMP is good enough. Okay. Cosplay is, of course, Creeping Frost is the same. Just go for the Divergent one. And then we are not going to use GMP over here. We're going to use Frost Bomb because the gloves has a different implicit. Okay, so Frost Bomb is for our cold exposure, and that's why I have Divergent Creeping Force so that we can fire additional projectile for more chilling areas. Alright, and then next is our items. So difference first of all is your gloves. Okay, what is the difference over here is your attack speed. You have to scale according to whichever you need. Okay, unlike the Ice Nova, you can have on your ring here, you can have, let's say, 6 or 5% attack speed is fine because you can increase your attack speed here from the benchcraft up to a maximum of 12%. So there is some flexibility over here. Your implicit for Eater of Worlds is going to be projectiles pierce an additional target instead of inflict exposure. Okay, we are playing Ice Spear, so we do not have a lot of coverage, and that is why the pierce an additional target is going to be a very big help. Okay, I don't think to have more additional pierce is going to be extremely good. So I think pierce 1 additional projectile is already considered quite good already. Alright, boots is still the same. Attribute ring is also the same. This is also the same. Belt is also the same. Okay. Now, for your flask, we are not going to use Bottle Fate, so you're going to use Dying Sun because it gives us 2 additional projectiles, right? And then I am going to go through the Cluster Jewel first. Okay, so the difference, okay, my bad. This is, there is a misspelling over here. So this is the projectile. This is the projectile damage Cluster Jewel. We are going to use 1 only, okay? So 1 projectile, which is here. Alright, this is with eye to eye and repeater. Okay, this is with eye to eye repeater. They are very, very strong nodes for projectiles. Gives you tons of damage. And then over here, we are going to use Pure Talent. Okay, Pure Talent has not been removed. Why we use it? Because we want that 0.5% to crit strike chance. The difference is when you remove Bottle Fate, you do not have 100% crit anymore, and this jewel is gonna help us reach 100%. And the nice thing about this is you can put your increased reservation to skills or quarter blood over here, whichever you like. Okay, whichever you like. And I don't think this is expensive. Okay, one thing to take note. In your POB, I have no idea why it added the Scion attribute, the plus 25 to all attribute, but it should not happen, okay? It should not happen. It is not even connected. I think there's some bug with Unnatural Instinct, I'm not sure. So please take note, there is no 25 attribute. Nonetheless, even if you remove the 25 attribute, you still have enough attribute. I've accounted it for it. Okay, and the other side, we are not going to have projectile, we're going to have crit chance cluster. So this is with your quick getaway and your pressure points. Okay, both of this is going to give you 100% crit, including your pure talent. And over here, you can just have your 3-line crit multi-jewel. It's going to give you tons of damage. Okay, at least, yeah, you can see it's like 2.5 million damage. That is really a lot. Alright, and then large cluster jewel is still the same. Okay, everything else is still the same. So yes, that is actually the only difference. Okay, I have segregated your different item sets. So when you are doing bosses, right, I highly suggest to use a specialist silver flask. Okay, specialist silver flask is basically your 30% chance to gain a flask charge when you crit, because when you are in the arena fighting or doing invitations or fighting Ether War or whatever, your flask charge is never going to be up, and this is where this mod is going to come in handy for you. Alright, and why silver flask? Because you're not going to kill any monster. So let's just say if you fight Ether War, right, how are you going to get onslaught? There is no way you're going to get onslaught inside. It's not going to spawn anything. So to get onslaught is from your flask, and that is why you need your specialist silver flask. Amethyst flask is not really going to be very useful in boss fights. So yeah, I think only Cyrus maybe. Only Cyrus is going to be useful, but nonetheless, just dodge his stuff and try to burst down the boss as fast as possible. With this build, easily less than 5 seconds you can kill it. Very, very fast. Okay. So yes, these two are the ones. There is one for Ice Nova also, so please take note. It's actually basically the same for bossing. You're going to use Specialist Silver Flask. Okay, so once you have done with all of your build, what is the next step you can change? I don't recommend Headhunter because this is a bossing build. I recommend Mage Blood. Okay, we all know Mage Blood is very expensive, so the step towards this next achievement or accomplishment is very, very, very steep. Okay, be warned. If you really want to upgrade, this is probably your best upgrade for it. It's gonna give you so much QL and so much accessibility. You're gonna move super fast every single time. You don't even have to worry about it. Okay, so what happens if you do Mage Blood? Your flask is gonna be full uptime. And oh, this is the wrong flask. Okay, I'll update it later. Basically, you need to use the prefix where you have reduced. Okay, let me just click on the one. Okay, click. Okay, so what you want is over here. Okay, reduce duration, increase effect. This is the best, and you're gonna apply this for all of your magic flasks. And then with this, right, you have full uptime on every single flask with increase effect. Okay, I will add this later on, and now I'll update the POB. Right, so that is all. Yes, of course, when you go to Mage Blood, right, you still have to change your boots to the elevated cooldown recovery tailwind boots with 18%. And then, of course, your awaken cast on crit has to be level 6. Right, that's why I say it is a very steep process from your default version to the Mage Blood version. But if you really, really want it, you feel it's an achievement, then by all means go ahead. Otherwise, if you ask me, it's not extremely necessary. Alright. Okay, notes wise, everything is still the same. Okay, everything is still the same. Yes, some of them is different. Like let's say here. How fast can this do the field invitation? Guys, your DPS is why is it like this? Okay, bossing. Sorry, bossing. Okay. Guys, your DPS is 30 million. you're gonna kill it in like within 5 to 10 seconds or even faster. Probably you see it's like just snap. It's gone. It's dead. It's dead. It's gone. Okay, don't bother so much. This is a bossing build. It's meant to kill boss very fast with no struggle. Like, what more do you want? Okay, there is really nothing else more for it already. 30 million is actually overkill. Right? You can probably do rare the fear as well. Okay, and then here, what other aspect of the builds can you improve? Again, you are already melting every single thing. Single target is so strong. What more do you want? Okay, what more do you want? The best I can advise is, if you want to maximize the build, upgrade your skill gems. Upgrade to level 21 or have quality 23 and stuff like that. Your awakened versions of awakened multiple projectiles is fine as well. Okay, so yeah, this is more or less about it. This is basically what you should do. Just take note that when I mentioned the high budget, you have to decide whether you want to go Ice Spear or Ice Nova. Okay, it's very crucial. Yes, you can transit in between the high budget of Ice Spear and Ice Nova, but you got to purchase more items. Alright, you have to purchase more items after that, and it might actually be a hassle for some of them. Okay, so yes, that comes to the end of my build guide. It's really tiring, right? But thank you all once again for watching. If you have any questions, please come to the Discord. I will be streaming on the first few days. Yeah, that's all. I will see you guys in the next video, which is basically going to be the league starter for this Cyclone CoC. Catch you guys again. Bye. Okay, that comes to the end of this video. So if you have any questions, do join the Discord and I will try to answer your questions. And if you like my video, do remember to hit the like and subscribe button. I will see you in the next one. Bye.